since 1982. Except for there was about 5 years in there where I went to the Navy. But other than that, I've lived in West Hartford my whole life. I am a regional estimator with the largest landscape and snow removal company in the nation. I'm also the volunteer and community engagement leader of our town, Concerned Parents of Color, West Hartford. I am usually a big ball of energy. I've been a little under the weather this past week, so
We are live.
Oh, welcome.
Sorry about everything. I finally found out it was locked, so I opened it up.
Okay.
Thank you for all your effort.
All right, Sam.
Well, sorry, Aurora. You didn't get your turn. Aurora, you go.
You'll get your time, Aurora. You'll get your time. Are we good to go?
Yes, we are ready to go. We are streaming live on YouTube now.
Okay. Okay, thank you, everybody. Now the meeting will come to order. Welcome to the October 6th regular meeting of the West Hartford Human Rights Commission. My name is Essam Barai. I'm the co-chair of the commission. The West Hartford Human Rights Commission fosters mutual understanding and respect among people and encourages equality of treatment of all people, regardless of race, color, religious creed, sex, sexual orientation, civil union status, gender identity or expression, marital status, familial status, genetic information, age, economic status, lawful source of income, national origin or ancestry, veteran status, or present or past history of physical, mental, intellectual, or learning disability, including but not limited to blindness. This meeting is being conducted in a virtual format in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act as amended by Public Act number 21-2, which authorizes municipalities to conduct public meetings virtually. Also in accordance with the Governor Lamont Executive Order concerning the conduct of public meetings and proceedings. Members of the public can view the meeting live on West Hartford Community Television at westhartfordctv.org and YouTube/WHCTV5. The meeting is also recorded for on-demand viewing and will be available on the town's website for at least 45 days. Since you are conducting this meeting in a virtual format, there are some special rules and procedures that I need to cover before we begin. First, I ask all participants to mute your device when you are not speaking. If you wish to be recognized, please raise your hand and I will call on you on the order I see hands raised. If you are participating by audio only or I do not call on you and the debate is ending, then unmute your phone and let me know so that I can recognize you. Second, all speakers must make a good faith effort to state the person's name and title at the outset of each occasion that such person participates in the meeting. Third, all votes must be taken by roll call unless the vote is anonymous. Fourth, a reminder that if any participant has a problem with the connectivity, you should immediately call Pramod Pradhan, whose phone number you were provided earlier. He will let me know and we will recess the meeting while the problem is resolved. If it cannot be resolved quickly, we will ask you to call into the meeting using a phone and participate via audio only. Now let's proceed to roll call and agenda items. And I apologize for all of that. This is the new rules of the town that we have to read every time. So I really apologize for that. Now the roll call. Essam Barai is here. Don Ennis. Aurora Melita.
Present.
Here.
Eric Schonberg.
Here.
Theodore Mancini. Sarah Raskin. Oh, I see you, Sarah. But okay. Takesha Everte.
Present. Present.
I'm sorry. On behalf, myself, on behalf of everyone in the committee, we would love to welcome our newest member, Takesha. Welcome to our commission, and we're so happy and excited that you are here with us today. Looking so much forward to working with you, learning from you, and putting all of your efforts in our commission to the service of our great town of West Hartford. So thank you so much for being here. I know we did introduction before, but I would love to give Aurora a chance to introduce herself because she was the only one who didn't introduce herself.
Well, thank you very much. I'm Aurora Melita. Welcome to the to our lovely group here. I do government relations, so you know, involved in some policy work as well on a state level. But I was very encouraged to hear what you do with the listening sessions. I think that's going to be very valuable, your experience in kind of breaking down barriers and helping people to communicate, and then taking that information and turning it into action. So I am really excited that you are a part of our commission, and welcome.
Thank you so much. The second item on the agenda tonight is approval of June 2021 meetings minutes. I hope we all got a chance to review those minutes. And we, as of today, we have our new secretary, Aurora. She will be the one who's taking our minutes, and I will distribute it to us and also to the town hall officials. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 2021?
Move.
I second.
Move. Do I have a second?
Third. Sorry, Don beat
second.
me.
All in favor? Yay.
Yay.
Hey,
Any opposed? And I'm assuming Takesha is absent because she wasn't here for the minutes.
That is correct.
Okay. Yes. So all yes except Takesha absence. Great. Okay. The next item, old business. The first one is Town of Compassion Awards. I think the update was Sarah.
Me? No, I don't think so. So Takesha, just to give you a little background, like years and years ago, we passed a charter that West Hartford would be a town of compassion, which is part of a national movement. We changed ours a little bit. Our town council changed the wording a little bit in ways that I actually agreed with, so we don't match exactly the national charter. At any rate, when that happened, the mayor and the town council asked us to create awards that represented people who showed high levels of compassion that we could give out each year. The first year we took nominations and got some people nominated in. We voted. We came up with people we wanted to give the awards to. We sent those to the town council. And then the whole world came to a grinding halt. And it never happened. And then we came back to them about 6 months ago, and they said they wanted to change the criteria. They didn't like the criteria that we had. They wanted to change who the awards went to and how it happened. So I wrote back to everyone who'd been nominated previously to say, you know, we so appreciate your nomination. The person who nominated is so amazing, but we're revamping. And so be on the lookout for new awards. And that's as much as I know, Assam. I don't think anybody ever went forward with creating new criteria. I'm not clear in my own mind what they are. I'm happy to do the work of typing up a form, but I don't understand. I don't know well enough what the new criteria are. And if somebody else does, we can meet offline. I'm happy to meet offline and just put it together.
Did they ever publish what the new criteria are, or did they just say that generically we're going to make new criteria?
No, they had specific new ideas. I don't know if Dawn or who talked to Sherry.
not me, but I was going to say we have to really consult with the town council, the town manager, the mayor, because they're the ones who seem to have all the marbles.
So someone had spoken to Sherry and gotten details from her. Maybe whoever they are is gone. I'm happy to reach out and see if I can solidify this and bring it back to our next meeting and make sure that we agree with whatever it is that the town council is asking for.
I believe that was Adrienne. Yes, I believe that was Adrienne.
It might have been Adrienne. So Or if somebody else wants to, I'm happy to let, so I'm offering to do the work, but I'm also happy to step back if somebody else has an interest.
The other option is just to go forward with what was already adopted.
No, they were very clear with us. Sorry, Eric, to say no to you. I don't mean to be shooting you down. I'm just saying,
That's fine.
there was clarity around the idea that there were new. So what we had done, I don't want to waste a lot of time on this, but what we had done was we had a nonprofit award and an individual award and a business award, and that they didn't like. And essentially, I mean, what I knew from the very, very beginning is that these are town council awards, that we don't own them, the town council does. They were asking us to facilitate a process that they own. We had hoped that we would be giving the awards every year at our annual celebration of the Universal Declaration. So far, obviously, it's never happened, and I don't know that it can happen in time for this December, or if we're even going to have a celebration. But for sure, I know they didn't like our criteria. That's like the only thing I'm really sure of.
So if they own the awards, why are we doing all the work, I guess, is the easiest way to put it.
Because they asked us to.
Okay. And they give us guidelines?
Well, that's what I don't have, but I'm happy to reach out and get them if people are comfortable with me doing that, or if there's a small subgroup that would like to work with me on it.
Yeah, Sarah, I'm happy to help you with that. I guess the question which I have is like, is this a thing where they pull all the strings and we just say okay, or we get real input? That's what I don't know, because obviously I wasn't involved in the inception of it.
So the original process, what they did was ask us to tell them who we wanted to give the awards to. And then they were going to vet our decision, because who knows who we might come up with, us. So they wanted to vet it, and sort of they would be the ones giving the award. But the people would be people that we recommend. So we were coming up with the winners, and they were giving the awards to the winners that we came up with.
So in theory, they're supposed to be rubber stamping.
In theory, they're rubber stamping unless we go completely off into some or we don't. I mean, part of Sherry's thing, she and I had a really long conversation about this way back when. And part of it was she just felt like it needed to belong to town council, that in terms of structure that made more sense. But partially also they are going to do an actual vetting, like make sure there's no history with this person that we don't know about. Heaven forbid they were convicted of something that we never heard of, just that kind of thing that might end up putting a shadow over.
Like the same background check process that we all went through when we were appointed.
I assume.
Okay, so we have Eric and Sarah will lead the communications with Sherry.
Maybe we'll set up like a conference call or something.
Right.
At your convenience, Sarah.
So the next item is skin deep.
Then I believe, right?
I'm sorry, Doug?
Is that Kristen? Isn't that Kristen's project?
We can't hear
That's
you.
Aurora's.
This is Aurora.
Yeah, it's
Aurora.
Aurora's.
Okay. Aurora. Sorry.
Okay. So again, the Skin Deep is a nonprofit organization who works to produce in-depth personal videos typically between two individuals that are kind of facing each other and asking each other questions and answering honestly. It's meant to break down digital barriers that we see a lot in today's world and really get to the issues and the feelings of individuals so that they can really connect with each other. So based on that, I thought it would be great to explore some type of partnership with them and potentially either produce some short clips that we could maybe show to the public and have like a discussion afterwards, possibly do something about doing some videos and promoting them on social media, or they actually do in-person events where we could host something in district and we could, invite a lot of community members and hold kind of mini conversations. And it's a way for people to really, for them to have like an open and honest conversation with each other. And it's very impactful. I've seen it, especially because when you're able to kind of have these set questions and you can always skip one, you're not creating it's not necessarily you starting to talk about yourself. With that question there, you have something to work off of, and I find that people are just more comfortable with holding a conversation because it's less kind of responsibility and ownership on them. But with that being said, I kind of feel because we can't have we're not comfortable with having an in-person meeting at this point in time, I don't know if it's the right moment for us to invest, energy and time into trying to figure out what an event could look like. And I think I think there may be other work that may be worth our time to invest in at the moment. I'd be happy to bring this up when hopefully we do turn the corner and things, being in person is, we don't have to consider it as a health issue. We can just be able to get together. So with that being said, I don't know what everybody's thoughts are.
So are you thinking of like a partnership between the commission and Skin Deep on events, or we will like bring them in to do like a promotional materials for the commission, or like what?
Yeah, I think it would be a one-off experience, whether we want to go the route of filming something with key people that we pick to do some type of video, or we bring them into our community for a more open conversation with like many people that show up, and it's still like one-on-one conversations, and then we have a community discussion. I think however we want to design it, I think it would be a one-off experience with the Skin Deep. And I think that we can tie it to, I know we've kind of spoken about this social media calendar where there are certain things throughout the year that subject matter that we try to target because it's more relevant to the date or the time of year. I think that we could, this Skin Deep project could be relevant to supporting that calendar.
Sarah, thank you for.
Yeah, thank you, Aurora. Oh, sorry, Sarah Raskin. No affiliation. No, I mean just council member. So Aurora, I know that you are. I know where your sensibilities are, and I know how critically you've probably already thought about this. But I guess I just feel like if we were going to form any kind of a partnership, and I'm not at all questioning you, I just think we would have to do some due diligence and know a little bit more about the organization and who's in charge of it and their commitment to diversity at the top, and just all kinds of things that I guess I feel like as a commission we would need to vet before we agree to form a partnership. Again, not at all questioning that they aren't amazing. I'm sure that they are. I just feel like that there's a process we should probably go through.
Due diligence, Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Don't want to tent keeper.
Yeah, I completely agree. Absolutely. I'm just not sure if it's at this point in time that we want to take our time to do the research, or if we just want to really simply put a pin in it, because I think regardless of, if the organization is an organization that you do want to partner with once they're fully vetted, I don't know if that's something that we can really take on now because we're still kind of battling the pandemic and we can't even have like an in-person meeting. So again, I'm more than happy to kind of like send some of the information, send some of the videos. If you want, I could even ask the person that runs the organization to come in as a speaker or something. I know that we've done something like that in the past so that everybody could speak with them. I can share around information. I just don't want to take up anybody's time if we do feel that it's not the right moment for us to pursue it. So I'd be happy to know what you guys think about that.
Sounds like Aurora wants to just hit the pause button for maybe 3-4 months, and we can kind of reassess the situation and what's going on around us and then revisit it. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I know we have a lot of good work to do, so I don't want to ask everybody to spend time on this if we know that it's really not something we can put into action soon.
Yeah, that makes sense. So,
Okay.
Aurora, I guess when you think that it's the right time to reintroduce, bring it up.
Yes. And that
Okay,
was
that sounds great.
Eric. And that was Eric.
Oh, sorry, Eric, the last person who was talking. Still getting used to that identifying yourself thing.
You'll get there. Don't worry. So with that being said, that seems like we get a pin pause it for a while until Aurora feels like we should talk about it again. Any further discussion on that?
It sounds like a great idea. I mean, even if, the pausing thing sounds good, but don't they have like the breakout, like when you're doing like the meetings, like the Zoom meetings and stuff? Can't you like break out into like individual groups and stuff? Like, would that be effective with that, Aurora, you think? Or, I don't know. I mean, we could probably just hold the whole thing off and in person probably would be better, but there's always that breakout option in the meetings,
Yeah,
Kristen,
Aurora
Sal,
Melita
sorry.
here. No, it's okay. No, I have to get used to it too and remind myself. Kristen, that's a really good point. They do have some virtual options that they have learned to adapt to the pandemic. So that could be an option, but I just feel like I'm even looking at our agenda now and I almost feel a little guilty asking to spend so much time on it when it's probably not the best way to utilize it with the virtual option. And I know that we have so many things to pay attention to and to catch up on. So I like the suggestion, but we may want to pause it for now.
And like one final point, like I feel like Dawn would be with me on this. The difference between asking someone questions in person versus over a phone or virtually is so different. And I experience that every day in my life. And it would kind of, limit and inhibit the true purpose of the project, which is why I completely understand where you're coming from, Aurora.
This is Essam, co-chair. I really like the idea also, Aurora, thanks for bringing this up. And I like the idea of maybe for the next meeting or the month after that, we could invite one of the leadership of the organization for like 10-15 minutes to talk to us about the work they do, and we get a chance to ask them a few questions or concerns that related to our work, and we'll go for it. Like, we don't have to commit to anything, just to have a conversation with them and see how the commission feels about it and go from there. So thank you so much. Yeah. Any further discussion? I'm assuming Don is speaking in the other meeting. Okay. So the next item on the so the skin deep pinned for now. Coach's dispute. Who wants to talk to?
That was Ted, I think.
Well, when I introduced those guys to Eric, and since I've done that, I actually haven't had any communication with them.
I emailed back and forth several times with them. I suggested ideas and thoughts. It seemed like the issue was most likely going to come to an inevitable conclusion due to an expiration of time and the time with which this suspension lasted for. It was last left off where they were going to caucus amongst themselves and get back to me, and I did not hear back. So I'm hopeful that it resolved itself.
Okay, Ted or Eric, could you guys please remind us for what was the situation? Takesha is new to us, and just remind all of us what was the situation again.
You want me to do that, Eric?
Yeah, go ahead, Ted.
It was a couple coaches. They got in touch with me. I used to be president of West Hartford Youth Football League. And after I retired from that, the new regime that took over during COVID, I guess these guys, they put out that they were going to have kids get together. Everybody was invited, because they hadn't been able to do anything for so long. And they sent that out to the league in an email. And I guess one of the parents, who I have no idea who it was, one of the parents complained that they were contacted. And then the league disciplined the coaches, saying that they, had run afoul of the policy, of the league policy. Then they got suspended. Come to find out later, there was actually no league policy that dealt with that before they suspended them. There was no rules or anything as to how they should have been suspended. The way the meetings went and the way the votes went totally contrary to what the league's bylaws were, which I know since I was president, so I know what the bylaws were. They changed the bylaws in the middle of in the middle of everything that was going on so that they can get rid of the coaches. And these were 3 Black coaches, one of which had been with the league for years. So they felt that part of it at least was racially motivated. So they brought it to the state Human Rights Commission, and they went back and forth there for a while, and then finally that commission came out with a ruling. I think it was that they did have cause, and that it looked like that there at least might have been some kind of evidence that it was racially motivated, and to continue on. And that's when I got back in touch with him. I was talking back and forth, and Eric had volunteered his services and volunteered to help him out, so I put him in touch with Eric.
Thank you so much, Ted, and thanks for bringing this up. And hopefully you guys, Eric, when you would hear back from them, give us updated. Right. Thank you so much.
My assumption from having seen things like this before and given what the issue was, what the discipline is it's probably already resolved, and which is probably why I didn't hear back, because it's been probably about 2.5 months since I had last spoken with the coaches. So that's my guess, is that it's water under the bridge right now.
Great. Okay, so the next item is the commissioner biographies. So we mentioned before that we would like each of our commissioners to send us a short bio for themselves that we will be able to upload them to our website, and then the community members will have more idea of who we are and our backgrounds and what we do. I'm not sure how many of us did that. I think Pramod will know how many of us did that.
Almost nobody. I think Aurora and Kristen, I think you did too. But I think that's it. I didn't do it yet myself. I'm just as guilty.
It was too intimidating when we went to video, but I will do it. Sarah.
Written is okay. You don't need to do video.
Oh, no, Sarah, this is Sarah. I can just do it written. That I can do immediately.
I think that's acceptable, right, Pramod?
Yeah, this is Pramod. Yes, I think written to start with is better than having nothing. So I think you can definitely send it to Don, and Don can send it to me.
This is Eric. I definitely did mine.
Eric, I beg your pardon. Eric was among the first.
Okay, so guys, please feel free to send a short bio of yourself, written or in a video format, and email it to Dawn, and she knows what to do. She knows what to do. Thank you so much. It's one of those little things that we all do every day, but it makes a big difference for our community members as well, to be able to see who in the what's our backgrounds, what we stand for, and all of those things. I think it's very useful to see that. So I'm actually on my to-do list right now, just not to forget it again. Okay, so the next item in the agenda is the potential Human Rights Commission educational and community-based engagement.
Keisha wants to
Sorry,
say.
before we move off of that, I apologize. Did you say a deadline by which we needed to have that done?
The deadline was the deadline was like 2 months ago.
Oh my gosh, Takesha, you missed it.
Takesha, you missed
Noted.
it. So
She was a member since June.
Takesha,
exactly.
come on.
So you did miss it. So the deadline is as soon as you can, as soon as possible, as soon as possible. I think this is the deadline, and hopefully also maybe by next week or so, I will also send you guys an email, just friendly reminder. If you haven't done it, hopefully you will add it to your to-do list and send it to Dawn as well. And not to put Dawn on the spot, but you know, she'll help you if you need help.
What
Just
I was going to
let her
offer,
know.
this is Dawn speaking. I interview people for a living. If you find it hard to write your own bio, give me 5 minutes, 10 tops on the phone or even an email, and I will ask you questions that will help you put together a bio, or I can help you, or I can put it together just based on a quick interview. So I offer that if anyone is struggling. Obviously, Aurora, Kristen, and Eric are not, because they already got theirs done.
This is Assam. Thank you so much, Don. I will absolutely take you on that one because I have no idea how to write my bio. For real, I really don't know. I write my name is Assam and I stop. I don't have no idea what to write after that. And I tried it many times and I failed every time. So that would be very great, very helpful. Thank you so much, Don. Okay, so the next one, the next item is Facebook Live meetings. So the idea of Facebook Live, myself and we discussed this before, and then I discussed it as well with Don as well. So the idea of Facebook Live is just to highlight community members who focus on human rights work, and they do human rights work in our community in West Hartford, and to bring them maybe twice a month, maybe once a week, for a half an hour video live on Facebook, to be able to highlight them and have an opportunity to tell more of our community members on our work, what we do. It would be a great opportunity to also like expand our base and people who know about our existence, and people who to understand more the type of our work and what we do for our community and why we're here. And at the same time will help our community members to connect with those organizations who work for different human rights issues, whether disabilities, whether education, whether poverty, whether racial equity, whatever the topic those community members and organizations cover and provide. So that's the main idea of it. So it's beneficial both ways for us to expand more and reach more community members and tell them like we're here, we exist, you can join us, and also tell them about existing services or existing organization in our community as well. The last conversation we had on this topic was we asked every commissioner to send us a list of any organizations they know that they will fit this criteria or this type of work that will be interested also to be interviewed by us. And also since we have Dawn here, so we of course asked her to facilitate this, whether as a commentator, as a producer, as an anchor, as an interviewer, whatever capacity she's willing, and as gracious as she is all the time, she agreed. So we were waiting till we come back from the summer, then we can bring it back and discuss it with you guys. So we would love to hear more about what you think on that topic.
Isam, if I could offer a suggestion, I could create an email in that West Hartford Google group thing where we just keep adding in those names you suggested. You know, just everyone can just add their list. You want to do that?
Sure. Also one more thing to add to this. We already have a list. Like we have a Google sheet that's full. That's not full. I'm sorry. That has many organizations that we could use. But we also as well. I think we shared this Google Sheet with everyone, and if you don't have access, I'm sure Tikisha doesn't have access to it. So we will also give you an access whether you can see what we have there, and also add if you have more names. They ask now if you guys, what do you think of the idea? If you have any suggestions and ideas, and also if you'd like to participate on it. Like Don and I talked before about we'd like to be part of it, whether producing or outreach to people, reaching out, or even interviewing people. But you know, the floor is open for any ideas and suggestions. Sarah?
So this
And
is
then
Sarah. So
Kristen.
I think we already agreed to do this. Like, I think we've already, as a commission, agreed. As Sam said, we have a very lengthy list of people and organizations. I would love to get Takesha's input on it, and anybody else who hasn't given input. But I think we have a list now that would keep us for a year or two going if we went through it, which is, I mean, that just speaks to our community, right? I'm happy to help out, but I think we should move forward. I mean, I think we've been talking about this for a while. I think it's a great idea. I love it. We had talked about maybe linking it with our monthly themes, but I don't know that that's even necessary. So back in the day when I used to just do videos, they weren't Facebook Lives, we would link them to, like, this month is, you know, the National Month of Trafficking in Persons. And so then I went and talked to somebody I talked to Jillian Gilchrist and somebody from some of the trafficking organizations. So we could do that, but I don't think we have to. I think just going through the list, I would be fine with. I just think it would be great. And again, because we have Dawn as a professional here, I'm happy to support that, but I sure wouldn't want to be the one doing the filming when we have Dawn.
I'm happy to do it, Sarah. This is Dawn.
I
The only
second
thing I
that,
want
Sarah.
is thank you.
Go
I just
Cecil.
want I want access to this list because I forgot completely that we had a list because it probably predated me even. Can we get that list sent out so that we can all look at it?
And Dawn, I'd be happy to be your co-anchor at any time.
Love it. I love your pipes. You have golden pipes. Ted too. Ted has great voice.
Hey,
This is Takesha. I would happily join Dawn or anybody else in co-hosting, co-interviewing, and happy to look at the list and offer suggestions.
This is Assam. Okay, I think we have a great team so far, and everyone is excited about the idea, which is great. So so I think the next step would be Don and I will have time to meet, but a plan, and then share the plan with everyone on the commission for next steps, and see what step of the plan you guys would like to join or participate or help. Does that work for everybody?
Assam, do you
Sarah?
own the list? This is Sarah.
Yes, I do have the list.
You do. Okay, good. So just, yeah, send it around to everyone.
Yeah. Great. Okay, thank you so much. Next item will be slavery reparations. Who would like to speak to that?
I think I was the one that brought it up. So basically what I had recommended was that we recommend to the town council that they appoint a committee to just kind of explore what reparations would look like for the town of West Hartford. You know, we talked about the fact that different cities and towns and places have handled this in lots of different ways. I sent around 4 or 5 examples, I think, of other towns and cities that had done it, and I can resend that information. There might be more since I sent that out, which was a while ago. I'm not recommending that we do anything. I'm recommending that we ask the town to appoint a committee to just explore what it might look like. I have no specific idea in mind because I think every town is unique, and I think it would take time and effort from people who were committed just to that action to really dig deep into doing the work. So that's all that I was recommending.
I'm sorry, Ted.
yeah, and from when this originally came out, I still stand by what I said then, that I don't feel it's, I mean, I don't agree with it on many levels anyway, but I don't feel it's a good look for the Human Rights Commission to send something to the town council and say, can you form a committee and come up with the best way to seize assets from everybody in the town and redistribute those assets to individuals based solely on the color of their skin. It kind of goes against what we're really supposed to be doing, I thought. Sarah, go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, I was waiting for some.
I'm looking at you, so go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So thanks, Ted. This is Sarah. So again, just to reiterate, it may or may not involve cash payment. It may or may not involve redistribution of wealth. That's one model, but I think there are lots of different models out there. So once again, I was recommending that they figure out what works in West Hartford, and the model that you've described may absolutely not work in West Hartford. And I'm certainly not pushing one model over any other.
Chris and Sal, I think that's why there should be a separate committee, separate from the Human Rights Commission, to exclusively work on that. If that makes sense. Does that make sense, Ted? So we wouldn't be the ones working on that. We would be making the suggestion, right, Sarah, to the town council. So then that individual committee, that'll be them. So that won't be Human Rights Commission working on it. So
This is Dawn. Would it be a subcommittee of the Human Rights Commission then? I'm confused.
Oh, Sarah. Oh, you were saying just to, I was like, I don't know. I thought I understood. It would be, we're just going to be recommending to the town council for them to establish a committee.
Correct. So it would not,
okay.
It would not be in
Okay.
any way under the auspices of the Human Rights
Yes,
Commission.
yes,
It would be
yes.
for the town council, and they may or may not choose one of us to serve or to be a liaison. That's up to them. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Yes.
But for them to create an ad hoc kind of research committee to look into it, that
Which is important. Chris and Sal, sorry. I feel it's important, and I like your recommendation, Sarah. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Well, this is Takesha. I just want to I'm trying to formulate my statement here. So I think it's important to note, though, and I didn't hear previous discussion on this, but a discussion around slavery reparations is not about a redistribution of any sort of economic or other sort of reparation based on the color of a person's skin. It's in recognition of the historical economic disadvantage that has happened in the United States based on an economic system of slavery that enslaved a certain people based on the color of their skin. And a conversation around reparations needs to center on acknowledgement and how you, one, acknowledge that and reconcile the fact that that happened, and two, what do you do in terms of addressing that huge gap in economic disadvantage. So I'm hopeful that the conversation we're having, if we do move this forward to the town, is to be very clear about what we mean when we're talking about reparations related to slavery, and also the breadth of opportunities that one could explore in addressing that.
Thank you, Takesha. I'd like to ask you if you'd like to be part of our separate committee or whatever it would be to help formulate that, because if you look at the minutes from last month, I took special pains to transcribe exactly what was said so that you can review, different positions. I think that you've basically eloquently reframed what we're trying to achieve here. And I want to say I support this, but I also respect that there are differing views.
This is Eric. One of my main concerns about this is that I think all of us in this room, virtual room together, know that even if we recommend it to town council, it is very high likelihood that it will be rejected and they won't do anything about it. And my concern is if they group that rejection and refusal with other initiatives that we're taking. And I'm not taking one side, pro, con, I'm just raising that issue is is something that is so likely to be rejected like that going to impair the other initiatives that we're taking, and have the town council be like, oh, it's these guys again. Oh, we already know what they're about. Forget all of it. So just for discussion and thought.
Sarah Raskin, I think I'm frozen. Can you hear me?
We can hear it.
We
This is
can hear you.
Takesha.
Can't see you.
Sarah, we can hear you, but we can't see you. But I also think Isam and Don, that Ted was trying to be acknowledged too.
I am sorry, Ted.
Yeah, so I mean, so then are we talking about you're going to base it on economic disadvantage or race or race? Because if you're going to base it on economic disadvantage, then we can talk about other poor sections of the country. As a matter of fact, the poorest section of the country is actually white, not black.
I can address that, but I also think Sarah was trying to say something as well.
Go ahead,
So I
Sarah.
just want to make sure that I'm not leapfrogging over
Yep.
people.
No, Takesha, I would love to hear what you have to say. And Ted, we talked about this. You raised the same point last time, and we said
Yep, same thing.
there's a difference between being a descendant of a slave and being economically impoverished, and there's a difference between other areas. We're talking about West Hartford, so this would be a West Hartford specific initiative.
Right.
But to speak to the other points, you know, Eric, I think that ship has sailed. Like, I don't think on this commission we've ever been afraid to speak our minds or put forward what we believe is right. We've been mostly supported by the town council and by the mayor. We've only rarely gotten pushback, and when we have, it's been very amicable. And so I'm okay if people say, I don't support this, but I don't think we should be kind of couching it in politics and saying, we better not put this forward because then they won't do anything else that we ask of them. We've never had that kind of relationship, and I don't think that's a reason not to put something forward that we care about. But again, we may not care about, I mean, this may not be a thing that we want to do on its own merits, but I just would separate it from any fears about repercussions.
And this is Takesha. So I have 2 points that I would like to just highlight. One, I think in response to the question from Ted, and then the other just in general, so that I can state my kind of thought on this, and maybe it's out of place because the decision has been made. But on the first, I will admit that my shorthand to try to be brief about explaining slavery reparations and slavery rested on economic hardship, but there are economic, social, geographic, demographic, health, all different things that we can talk about that are rooted in long-stemming systemic disadvantage that stems from the institution of slavery. I'm not going to discount the fact that if we look proportionately at poverty, that there are more white individuals in the United States and quite frankly, probably more white people in West Hartford that are going to show up numerically in that. But when we look at the disproportionate impact and the long-term impact on people of color, and particularly Blacks and African descendant people, because that's what we're talking about when it relates to slavery, there's a huge disadvantage that's clearly documented there. But at the same time, on the second point about how we move this forward or not, I do find it interesting that we're asking the town council to do this rather than us doing some work and researching and putting forward recommendations to the town council about how to proceed and letting them decide about whether the town proceeds or not. That said, I'm not sure that that's our role or not either. And I didn't bring that up the first time because I almost felt like the decision was made that the order of how to do this is to ask the town to do the work in terms of the research and figuring out how to do that. So those are just 2 quick things that I offer. And I think I said this is Takesha at the beginning, but if not, I'll say it at the end.
Thank you, Takesha. This is co-chair. I think to your point, Takesha, we suggested we raised the suggestion to the town council on that topic, and they have the power, the authority, whatever the right word is, to decide what to do on that topic. And we are an advisory body for them, providing them with a suggestion, and if they have any questions or ask for any research or any resources, we shall provide it to them as they ask. but we don't have any authority to decide, to make a decision. The final decision is not ours. And I think this is why we that's what we did. We just like suggested to them, like, you should talk about that. You should see if that's something you guys are interested to talk about. If or you should talk about that. We think that's something interesting, and I'm sorry, not interesting. Something you should talk about. And hopefully they will talk about it. But
This is
again,
Don. I'm sorry, Isam. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, by the end of the day, it's the town council decision. So thank you, Don.
And I was just going to add to what Isam said, which is, let's not rule out the possibility that whether Eric is correct and the town council says, forget about it, or they may throw it back at us and say, okay, this is your ball, you run with it. And then we can, at that point, do further work. But I want to assure Takesha that what Sarah's already started and what would take place next would be a full presentation, pros and cons of what other communities have done, what we would potentially do, and the reasons for it. It wouldn't be an action plan as much as an overview, a 30,000-foot view, so that the town council can then decide whether it's worth pursuing. And I fully expect that, I guess because I'm glass half full, that they'll throw it back at us and say, okay, see what you can do. But I'd like to, we've been talking about this for 3 or 4 meetings now, and I would like to make a motion that we go forward and commit to making a presentation of some kind. Would anyone like to second that or strike me down?
I will second that. So we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor? I see 1,
Aye.
2, 3, 4. Takesha, are you?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to clarify the motion just because I'm real parliamentary
So
that way.
The motion is to send a suggestion to the town council to discuss the reparation. Is that
Okay.
correct, Don?
Exactly that, but to provide an overview of what has been done and what could be done without it being an outline of specific steps. But it would explain why it's something that the Human Rights Commission believes in, and to also include arguments that have been made here and elsewhere on why it may not be the right decision. I think we should provide a balanced view, and I think we should explain why the commission is voting to make a recommendation that it be investigated further.
Yeah. So we have the vote for yes for Sam, Don, Sarah, Kristen, and Aurora, and Takesha. All oppose. Ted is oppose. Absence.
I'm abstaining.
I'm abstaining. Okay, and so we have 1 abstaining, 1 no, and 1, 2, 6 yes. So the motion has passed. So I'm assuming Sarah and Don will take a lead on that.
Takesha's
I'm
input.
happy to, but I feel like Takesha's expertise would be invaluable now that she's joined us, if she's willing to work with us a little bit on how to frame it.
I agree.
So Takesha.
This is Takesha, sure.
Okay, so we have our task force, Don, Sarah, and Takesha. Great, thank you so much, guys. And please, when you have the final proposal or suggestion, please share it with the commission for any input. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda, let's meet folks. Previous suggestion discussed included Adrian Blake-Smith as a representative of the newly formed Civilian Police Review Board and Housing Committee, currently led by Barry Walters. So the idea, who wants to speak to that? Okay, so the idea of that was the original idea was we're trying to do like monthly. Each month we'll bring a speaker from the town commissions or other boards to build the bridges with other commission and boards on the town, and bring them to us for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes to talk about the work that they're doing, and also ask some questions, share information with them, and get to know and learn the work they're doing, the challenging they're facing, and how can we cooperate if there's any opportunity or chances there. That was the original idea. I think Adrian is not going to be in the police accountability board anymore, I'm assuming, but the board is still there, and the housing authority committee also is still there, and we can reach out to them and bring them to speak to us and see. Also, there was, beside that, there was also the other half of the suggestion was to bring more like community leaders to bring. We did once before with faith leaders within the community spoke to us, and it was very rich conversation. So this is the idea, and now the floor is open for discussion.
Sorry, this is Sarah. Yeah, I like the idea. I've always liked the idea of us reaching out to other commissions. I think the two you mentioned obviously would be great, but I think any of them, there's a commission on people with disabilities and a commission on the aging. And I think there's lots of ways in which their work might or might not intersect with ours, but that it just might be helpful for us to know what each other are doing.
Thanks, Sarah.
This is Pramod. So there's also a newly formed Mirrors Youth Council, so we may also think about those folks. It's young folks from our town. They have some ideas, and they want to learn maybe more of what we are doing, and we can also learn from them what their plans and what they're thinking of doing.
Pramod, that's a great suggestion. This is Sarah. Yeah, you all might remember years ago, someone had the idea, but it wasn't me, of having a youth member on this commission. And that's when the mayor reached out and said she was going to create a whole youth commission. So I think it would be great for us to intersect with them as well.
Your role, Sarah. You were the youth member, weren't you?
It's been a long time since I've been a youth member of anything.
She visits for 1 year, only this 1 year. Okay, any other discussion on that topic? Okay, so the question now will be, do you look at the motion now, or the question now will be okay with everyone in the commission to start reaching out to other boards and commissions, see if they would be interested to come join our meetings briefly to share with us what they're doing? So can I have a motion?
Motion to reach out to other commissions to see what they're doing.
I second Eric's suggestion and motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
so it's passed.
Keisha, are you with us? You went up and down too fast. Sorry, this is Eric.
One question, Sam.
Sure.
Can we prioritize so that we do the Civilian Police Review Board first? Can we ask them first? Just because I have a feeling that's going to be the hardest one to fill, and get the request in early and then see what happens.
Yeah, I was going to ask Pramod if he can take the lead on that, since he has all of the information for other boards and commission, if he will be willing to take the lead on that.
This
Absolutely.
is Eric. Kristen, do you want to reach out to Ace and set that up? Let's use people who know
Kristen,
people.
so of course. I can absolutely do that.
Let's make it easy.
Okay, so one second here, because Adrian is in the middle of the campaign. So is that okay to bring her on during the campaign to talk about the work she's doing?
That's what
Or
I was gonna
not?
say. And like you said,
I
she's
think,
probably
I think
will
it's a
be off
conflict.
the commission.
It may
Yeah,
be a conflict. That's something,
that's
yeah, we definitely have to
yeah,
ask
so
first.
yeah.
But why
So
don't you
I think
ask,
we should.
ask her to recommend somebody?
Yeah, I think we should ask her to recommend somebody.
This is
Okay,
Eric.
so
As a lawyer, I can say as long as she's not pushing herself or one way or other politically and just giving information about what the commission does, that's completely fine.
On,
But I thought the
yeah,
even
issue
if it's legally okay, it's gonna still stink. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
yeah.
It wouldn't look good.
right. And also she's probably going off the commission. So wouldn't we rather liaise with somebody who's gonna be continuing?
Exactly. So Kristen will ask Adrian to recommend someone and still promote. Can you help us reach out to the other commissions and boards?
Absolutely, yes. So I will, I mean, unless, the commissioners have list of folks that you want to reach out to, I will, as I reach out to folks, I will send you the list.
Thank you so much, Pramod. And guys, feel free if you have any recommendation for a specific board or commission, send them to Pramod as well. Then we have one list in one place. Thank you so much. Okay, so now a big topic about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that the Commission carries every December, celebrate the Declaration. So it's COVID time, guys. And last year we did it virtually, and we usually meet every year in person, and we read the Declaration of Human Rights. We have great night that talks about human rights and the history of the Declaration. Last year was virtual because of COVID, and we asked many people to record videos of them reading parts of the Declaration. And our great colleagues, Don, again, I feel like every item we rely on Don, helping us editing and putting all the videos together, and it was a beautiful celebration. But the question now is,
Sarah edited it, not me. I just did some shooting. Sarah did all the work.
okay, in partner with Don, that was done. So would you guys, the floor is open for discussion if you'd like to meet or not, how you'd like to do it. It's in December, and we're still in COVID time. So the floor is open. Sarah, do you want to talk to this first?
So it was a lot of work. Separate from what Dawn did, just the stuff that I did was a lot of work. I think it was really nice. I don't know if people are fatigued by this stuff, if it worked once, but it might not work again because people are tired of video stuff. I guess I have mixed feel. It's already October. I think I started in, the September 1st or something last year. So if folks want to do it, I'm willing to support whatever folks want to do. I think you're right though, Assam. I don't see it being in person, although I did already reserve the room because I always reserve it a year in advance. But I just don't think we can possibly do an in-person indoors event. It would just be irresponsible. So I'm open to suggestions for other things we can do. It doesn't have to be what we did last year. Maybe there's other things. I'm not that creative. That's the best I could come up with.
Well, I have a suggestion, and it hopefully will lighten your load, Sarah. I was going to ask the principals of all the schools in West Hartford to get their kids to do it, especially their social studies or, civics classes, and divvy it up with however many responses we get so that they record it. And then we put that together. And instead of it being adults, it'll be the kids of West Hartford. And we can basically, get parents to watch because they want to see their kid on TV.
This is Sarah. I really like that idea, Dawn. My only hesitation, I have two hesitations. One is just trying to get anything out of the kids last year, because typically we have the kids from ASD the kids from from ASD who never showed up last year. We have the kids who are the exchange kids. I got like 3 out of 20 last year. So kids are just busy. Teachers are busy. It's already October, but if we can make it happen, I love the idea. My only second caveat is my heart is really attached to the idea of it being very diverse, lots of languages, lots of representation. And so we would have to get the teachers to buy into supporting it being, not just being the first 10 kids that are willing to do it, but kids that represent different languages and cultures.
Got it. Well, one of the things, this is Dawn, one of the things I learned through my talk show is that West Hartford has something like 30 different languages spoken in our school district. So I will assist you, and if you want, I'll be the liaison. I'll press the schools to find those voices, and hopefully they'll agree, and we'll do it this week so that we can not lose that time we've already lost any more time.
This is Eric. My sister-in-law is a social studies teacher at King Philip and has led diversity programs and instructional programs along those lines before. And she is very tight with the principal there. So I am more than happy to provide that contact information if you think that's something that would be helpful.
I love it. The only other question I have for everybody, in the past, we've done the reading of the declarations, but it's been interspersed with music and dance and poetry and a keynote speaker like Takesha last year. What I'm hearing is that we want to sort of simplify our lives and just have kids reading the declaration. Am I hearing that correctly?
That out there.
You're muted.
Whatever. Whatever we all think.
I'm fine with that. I just wanted to be sure that of what we were talking about, and so that we know what our ask is. So in the past, we've had like the Hall High Jazz Band, we had the Conard, what are they called? Singers of the World or whatever. And then we've had like the West Hartford Poet Laureate. We had Mixashawn Rosie last year do a land acknowledgement. So we've had like a whole program. I am, like I said, completely fine with us just having a bunch of kids reading the declaration and letting it go for this year. But I just wanted to confirm that that's what everyone's agreeing to.
This is Sam, co-chair. Given the time constraints, I think the simple idea of having kids just read the Declaration of Independence, it's a good idea for now. For two reasons. Number one, the time is very short and limited, and everyone is busy. So having a program like last year, I don't think it's doable. Plus, we don't know if people will have energy to sit again and watch 2 hours long program. And number two, I think we should keep doing it because it's a tradition that we would like to keep every year, even if something symbolic of the day. So I think just keeping it simple with kids of the school, it's a good idea.
And this is Dawn, co-chair. I would not want to insult anybody whose culture has been represented and won't be represented. So maybe we could extend an invitation to those who have contributed cultural things besides the declaration, saxophone playing, singing, performing. If they want to record their own video and send it in, we'll add it on, but I wouldn't like suggest that we go out and get them. That's all I was going to say. If there's somebody who's going to feel slighted by being overlooked, but I think
nobody's ever repeated. I don't think.
Yeah, great. So what Sam said
is counting on it. Yeah. It's been new people every year, except for the amazing dancer that Pramod gives us. But I think she'll be fine.
The saxophone player who spoke last year. Yes.
Mixashawn Rosie. No, he hasn't. We had the land acknowledgement the year before was Chris Newell. So Mixashawn's great. I just saw him he did a whole performance at Trinity just last weekend. He'll be fine.
Okay, any further discussion? Sarah, Don, thank you for doing this. Okay, the next item on the agenda, the statewide upcoming human rights meeting. Sarah, I think you attended the last meeting.
Yeah, for like half an hour. I missed most of it because I had a different meeting, but it was interesting, and I think it's worth us being there. Actually, Judy was there because she's part of the statewide human rights out of Euclid. So she kind of represented West Hartford, but I think someone should plan to go to the next one.
So when is the next meeting?
Let me find it.
Yeah, while she's looking for it, says so it's a statewide human rights commissions meeting, and it came out of towns. So there is the official Connecticut Human Rights Commission thing, but the meeting that we're talking about is a group of towns with their human rights commissions, like West Hartford Human Rights Commission, are trying to come together in a coalition to build a town size coalition of human rights commissions that we could do work together and support, of course, and help and coalition and cooperation with the state the state human rights commission. But this is the one we mean by it. So thanks, Sarah, for sharing the meeting with us. I think I am planning to be there. And if anyone also is wanted to join, please feel free. It's going to be on October 28th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. So after commission email. Okay, so thank you so much, Sarah, for sending everything. Can you email this to us, just because I don't know if everyone will be able to save the chat after we're done meeting tonight. So thank you. Okay. And the next item is the meeting for the meeting is scheduled for next year. So the tradition is we meet every first Wednesday of every month. And this is what we try to do for the next year, 2022. Does that work? Is that okay with everybody? Do you guys want to change anything? I think it's a plain and simple, just the first Wednesday of every month we meet here at 7. Hopefully by next year we'll be in person.
This is Sarah. Just a heads up, I think I'm off as of December. I think that I'm done. So just so you know that you'll have to start looking for somebody new.
So this is Eric, should we take that to mean that you don't want to be reappointed?
I've already had 2 terms, and I'm sure that there's a limit somewhere.
How are we going to survive without you, though? You know everything about everything.
She knows where the bodies are buried.
I second that, Eric.
Motion to persuade Sarah to reappoint herself. Okay, carries. Sarah, you're back on. Congratulations.
Oh, nice. Loved and needed.
So quickly.
Sarah, we'll see you in 2022. You'll be appointed.
That was so easy.
That was easy, right?
I don't know that it's possible. We'll talk. And if Assam and Dawn ever need to know any of the history, they can always just call me up. But I'll find out.
I think she's gracefully retiring.
I have only one conflict, and I don't think it's fair for me to impose my schedule on everybody else, but I started grad school over the summer. So I am in a class this semester and next semester that technically goes to 7:20 every Wednesday night. And luckily, every week except for one, the professor has basically bailed on the class at like 6:45. So I don't think I'll be late, but there are going to be some times when I'm going to be late. So I just wanted to let everybody know.
Thanks for the heads up, Don. And hopefully every first Wednesday of each month, the professor will bail on you at 6:45. You have 2 professors a year, or like we can do something. Sarah, we can do something about that. Trust me, sometimes the professor will be like, I have nothing else to say, and there is no discussion going on. I need to get out of here. Trust me. Okay, so now
And this is Takesha. I just wanted to just say also my term is only until the end of the year as well, so I don't feel that it's right for me to talk about what someone else has to do next year if I'm not on. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Wait, so are you a replacement for someone?
I am. I'm filling, I think, the balance of Adrian's term.
Okay, but then you will definitely be reappointed if you are willing to serve.
You know, I never make those assumptions. Okay.
It's our desire to have you stay.
We know
Yes,
people
we'll
who know
assume
people.
for you.
We can take care of it.
Okay. Okay.
please, guys,
Then I
please,
will
guys,
add.
stay with us.
Then all I will add to that conversation then is to say I too am in graduate school, but I don't know my schedule after this year, and Wednesday's not a problem right now. So there you go.
Right.
Don't we also have an empty seat anyway? Isn't there another empty seat?
Yes.
Yeah, wait. I think
Yes,
we have to
there
have a
is.
discussion about that, right?
I hope.
That was on the agenda, right?
And I posted as the lawyer of the group, I did in the beginning of the chat, I posted the West Hartford Code directions on that situation, which will take care of it, but that requires ASOM or Dawn to send the message. Oh, that's brutal, Dawn. Ah, whoa.
Okay, so
We have a member who has not been attending, but he, to be fair, resigned. I mean, he sent us a letter saying he resigned. He just never followed up with the town.
I think this is Pramod. I spoke with Essie a couple days ago, and she said that he submitted his resignation and she got it. So now his name is off the website. So I asked him.
Yes, I think officially we do need to do anything because it's already been removed and the member list has been updated. Which is the list I read tonight. It's coming directly from the town. So I think we're good. And just we need the new member. Yeah, we have an empty seat. We have a vacancy. So hopefully Takesha will not leave us, and then we'll have a new member soon, hopefully. Now it's time for open discussion. If you guys, any other topics or new business you would like to add, Sarah? Of course, Sarah has, and you want to meet us.
So old business that dropped off the agenda that I just want to put back on, and I apologize when you put out additions for the agenda that I didn't put it on there. Not something for us to do tonight, but something that I don't want to disappear off our radar screen is the discussion that we were having with both the chief of police and the superintendent of schools about SROs in the schools. And I just think that the research and the data is pretty compelling about the negatives of having SROs in the schools. And for those of you that weren't here, we talked to both of the chief of police and the superintendent of schools about a number of things, but that was one of them that came up, and they each passed the buck to each other. So my recommendation was they both felt strongly that SROs were good. So my recommendation was that we do some data collecting, that there be some measurement of what makes them good and how we know they're good and what it is that's good about them. And also some data collection on what might not be good about them, because there's certainly been lots of data published on what's not good about them. So if both Tom and the chief feel like they are incredibly positive and helpful and needed in our schools, then I just think it needs to be documented, right? We need to have some measure that will convince people in town of their efficacy. And if they are good, then that shouldn't be hard to do.
This is Isam. Thank you so much, Sarah. I think we need hopefully we will have this item on the next agenda and then for next month, and then we can be able to follow up. But one side note, I wrote a paper on that very specific topic, and there are a tremendous amount of data out there that proves it's very, very harmful. It's not useful at all, and it's not beneficial for anyone. Now I need to go back and retrieve this paper and read it again and update the data in it. And yes, and I think I sent this paper to our town manager as well, Matt Hart. So he also aware of this paper. Yes, Ted.
How long have we had SROs here?
I'm sorry.
I mean, we've had SROs forever. I've been here my whole life, and we had an SRO when I was in school. So, since we're talking about West Hartford, where's the proof, or where's it coming up that this is detrimental after, you know, in my case, at least 50 years?
Something being around for a bit long, it doesn't mean it's actually working. There's two different things. But there's I didn't see any data that was focused on West Hartford in particular, but there's data that done in other places, states and other towns around all over the country. And I'm happy to share that with you. Sarah, did you have a comment?
I'm happy to yield to you some. I will say that there is a Connecticut statewide report that's very clear. So are friendly. All these programs began in the 1960s. I think, and I think that the use of SROs ramped up after Sandy Hook. But I think the fact that something's been around, there's lots of things that have been around from the 60s, like me, that we don't necessarily want forever. like, you know, bell-bottom jeans and neon paint. Its time has come. So so my point, Ted, is I'm not arguing with them that they're good or not good. I agree with Assam that the data is out there, including Connecticut state specific.
Yes.
And interestingly, they tend to only be in upper class schools because schools that have low budgets can't afford them. But I just think it's worth, if they're going to claim that they're useful, then I want some data. I want to see how they're useful and what they're useful. I mean, when we talked to the chief of police, his statement was, well, what they're really good at is they get kids to snitch on each other and tell us when a fight's going to happen so that we can prevent the fight. And I just, you know, like a million red flags went off for me about all that. So, I just want them to document what they do all day and why it's useful.
Okay, Ted.
Without trying to make a comment on whether it's good or bad, but is this committee willing to accept any negative repercussions if you take the SROs out of school and then someone actually ends up getting physically injured or killed?
Sorry, this is Sarah. If there's no evidence that they actually prevent that from happening, then I don't follow the logic. So there's been virtually zero cases in which SROs actually prevented anybody from being hurt or killed. And you can Parkland as an example of what happens.
Yeah, but I think if talking about West Hartford, just with the police chief's comments, if those comments are true, then if you were to pull the SROs and then you would end up with a fight or a gang fight or something like that in the schools, then does it become self-evident then when it's too late?
So
it's kind of hard to say it doesn't prevent anything now, especially if it's preventing stuff.
And Ted's argument, I want to say that if there haven't been any incidents, isn't that a example of why SROs are needed? Because if there aren't any incidents and SROs are in schools, then you could conclude that they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. I'm just saying devil's advocate.
And preventing unicorns and preventing they're really good at keeping pink elephants out of the schools. So I just want to keep our logic clear. I don't mean to be teasing, but you, Don, but I just want to keep our logic clear. And I think, Ted, if that's true, they should be able to document the number of fights in which they intervened, the number of times in which they were able to prevent something. And if they document it, I'm happy to listen. But I think we also need to document the harm that they do. So there's real harm happening currently. And so you're looking at potential future harm. I'm looking at documented current harm.
Well, I think part of it.
I'm sorry, Ted, but Aurora has been asking for the speak.
Thank you, Aurora Melita here. And I think everybody has really great points. And I know that we've kind of briefly talked about the issue on some of our meetings. And, you know, it is an important topic, I think, to cover, and one that I think as a commission we could dive into and really do really educate ourselves together rather than individually. And maybe this could lend itself to a good subject matter for having someone come into the commission to present. You know, we've kind of talked about that like earlier in the meeting. So I think maybe getting more of an education on this from the perspective of an SRO, from the perspective of the police chief, from a perspective of maybe an action agency or a youth, you know, agency or you know, something along those lines. Maybe we could tweak out who you know, would be good guest speakers that can bring an education and different perspectives on the issue. And then maybe it would be easier to have a discussion on, you know, what we want to do either about it as a commission or just to have an open discussion on position.
And Ted?
I was going to say, I mean, if it's something, it's not something we should really be trying to hash out right now. It's something that, you know, if Sarah or anybody wants to have it on the agenda, I'm not opposed to having it on the agenda, don't get me wrong. But I think it's something we should dedicate a lot of time and effort to if we're really going to hash it out.
That's
I just want to say I agree with Ted. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also agree with Ted, and hopefully we'll see it on the agenda for the next meeting, and we'll hopefully take steps to discuss that further. Thank you so much. Any other topic for discussions or new businesses? Okay. So our next meeting will be the first Wednesday of next month at 7 p.m. and also it will be virtually as well. So it's time to adjourn. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. Okay, Ted and Don, thank you. All in favor? Great. Thank you so much, everybody, for a great meeting today and great discussions. We'll see you, everyone, next month, and we'll be in touch with communication with all of the topics we've covered today throughout the month. Thank you, and have a great night and great month.
Thank you, everyone. Aurora, let me know.
Bye,
Aurora,
Thanks.
let me know.
Bye-bye,
Thank
everybody.
you very much. I will take you up on that, Don.
Okay. Take care. Good night, everyone.